Michigan opening up Big Ten play on the road at the Kohl Center, and they come away with the victory in Madison. Dusty May and company, they go up and take on the undefeated Wisconsin Badgers, and they were down at the half, but they control the second half behind their 2 7-footers and come away with a 3-point victory. Welcome into the Michigan basketball post-game live show. We're here after every Michigan basketball game. It's a late one tonight, signing day tomorrow. Michigan fans still sky high after beating Ohio State and getting Bryce Underwood before that on the football field. But getting it done on the hard court, Wisconsin, you've seen Michigan tournament teams, Michigan Final Four teams go to Wisconsin and come back with an L. And in the early going, it kind of looked like that was going to be the case. Michigan they weren't shooting well. It looked like there was a lid on it. There's some turnovers. And even into the second half, you're thinking, if this Michigan team can shoot better, if they can rebound and they can stay away from the careless turnovers, they could be a pretty good team. That's a lot of different things. But, man, I have to. You say you have to, I have to. You got to credit this team. They've come together, and they look good. They played their best game down in Florida against Xavier, who was a top 25 team. And now they take Wisconsin. I know it's in the early going, but they back their impressive win and their most impressive win of the year against the Musketeers, and they topped that with the way they played against the Badgers. And really, did we know that Danny Wolf was a star? He's a star. And Vlad Golden, you could see the problems when it's Golden and Wolf running a pick and roll, Wolf and Golden, golf, if you want to combine that, Wolfton, whatever. But they're both skilled. You know, they are 7 feet. You know, Wolf plays out on the perimeter. And, you know, Golden hit the biggest shot of this game down. They found him in the middle. I heard in the Robbie Hummel said he had a 7'5" wingspan in the first half, but he went, you know, he can go with a right hook, he can go, and he dropped a left hook. I mean, you're 7'1", you got a 7'5" wingspan, and you got skill back to the basket, and he can roll. He's athletic enough, and he threw down a couple dunks. This was, you know, I asked Dusty May on Monday, does Golden need to be meaner down in the paint? Does he need to dunk everything? He says, yeah, he gets a lot of advice from a lot of people. And he said, yeah, he wants him to be more aggressive down there. There was one where he was holding the ball out. And, you know, it's you don't see that from a 7-footer. It was fun to see. It's, you know, it's a skill level. You're not going to do that all the time, but he put a hammerjack dunk down in this game, talking about Golden. And then Wolf, you know, Wolf sometimes brings it up. We've seen this throughout the season. I mean, and he's not just bringing it up because he's a big man. He can bring it up. He can dribble, and he can initiate the offense. And then he can score from anywhere on the floor, and he can go to a little the pick and roll, the 2 7-footers, and Wolf scored on one when he was going full blast down the floor, went reverse and used some English to it was a highlight reel play, and his best play, I would say, of the season. But then he came back. It might have been Michigan's very next offensive set, where he was flying in from the right side, and instead of going to the reverse, he hung the ball out with his 7-foot wingspan or whatever he has off to the right, and then kind of drifted in and threw it out. I have to look at the replay. It's on Peacock. I have a hard time. I don't know if you do. I could complain about Peacock's audio and they're streaming and everything else. But I do that every time it's on. But I don't know. I need to be better being able to use the rewind function on there. So I go too far back and whatever. So I didn't go back and see if that play again. That would have been one on normal TV that I would have gone back and watched. But the bottom line is that these two guys, as they get more comfortable playing together, they are a force, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Big Ten. They serve notice. It's no secret anymore. You don't know all these guys coming together, how they were going to do, and these records and the teams that you're playing. And yeah, they won the Fort Myers tip off, but this is Big Ten play on the road, and to go in there and play like they did in the second half, and show what Golden and Wolf could do. And let's be honest. Let's always be honest. The rest of the Michigan team didn't play all that well. Namari Burnett had a nice defensive play and came down and hit a three, which was nice. And Gale, who had struggled, I would say, most of the game, got some things going in the second half. But for the majority of the non-7 footers, it wasn't a good game. It was like you would say a typical Big Ten road game for maybe what you would expect from a bunch of guys that have just gotten together and were playing together, not for the first time, but just for the first month or two in a fledgling unit, trying to find their wares and all of that. But can't say nice things about Michigan after getting this win. This is what it's all about. Game number 8 on the season, Big Ten opener, Wisconsin, ranked number 11 in the top 25. And Michigan, if you're keeping track and you look at Ken Pom had Wisconsin below Michigan, and Ken Pom has Michigan as the 10th ranked defensive unit in the country. That's something that stood out after 7 games. And yeah, the more data you get, the better. But Michigan's defense, you could see it. Wisconsin was up by as many as 9 in the first half, and Michigan couldn't buy one. They couldn't hit any threes. They did get it down to 6 at the break, which was good. And Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden, they took over in the second half. That's what happened in this game. And let's run through some of the numbers, and you'll be able to see it. Golden with 24 points, 5 boards, and 1 assist, and Danny Wolf 27 and 5. So 44, 12 and 6 for the 2 7-footers combined, and they took care of business. And then look at Michigan shooting 39%, 6 of 25 from downtown, but 15 of 21 from the free throw line, and 12 turnovers. And let's just see, in the first half, it was not something that you were looking at. It was one of these where you say, well, Michigan had just shot 2 of 16 from downtown. So you see how much better they did in the second half. They just shot 21% from the field in the first half, 21% from the field, and 12.5% from downtown in the first half. You're thinking, all right, you're not going to win this game. And 6 turnovers. And they did turn it over a little bit in the second half. That was something that if you were watching this game, you're saying, yeah, they need to value the ball more. They need to rebound better. They need to shoot better. Other than that, things are going pretty well. But they started to make the plays. Now, I look at that free throw percentage, and it is something that they survived. If I told you, so it was 71.4%. But the last 3 times that Michigan went to the line, they missed the front end of a 1-and-1. Rodney Gale was up there twice, missing the front end, and then Vlad Golden with just the 2.5 seconds remaining to seal the game. He missed the front end of a one-on-one. Wisconsin had a last-second heave to try to put this game into overtime. Hey, you got to make your free throws late, But hey, when you're winning, sure. Here I am. Everybody knows that. I don't think that they're getting ready to get their post-game meal and get on that bus and hit their charter plane on the way back saying, oh, yeah, great execution. Great job of the free throw line late. No, they know that you got to hit those front end of one-on-ones to seal the game. But Golden and Wolf, too much for Wisconsin. That's the bottom line with this one. Gale had 9, 6, and 5. Burnett, 8, 7, and 1. Trey Donaldson, a goose egg. Had 7 boards and 3 assists. Cheddar off the bench led everybody with 5 points and 2 boards, and Reuben Jones just with 1 point and 2 assists. Sam Walters came in the first half. You're looking for some offense from the lefty, the Alabama transfer, and he was off. And not just missing, he missed badly on his 3-pointers. I want to get him going, and LJ Kaysen, he looked like a freshman tonight. He didn't have it. No points for Kaysen. So really, and in the second half, it was pretty much a 6-man rotation. I think Reuben Jones got in there a little bit, but it was mostly Michigan squeezing that bench and keeping those starters out there and bringing Jones in for a little defense. I thought nobody would be up this late, but I'm wrong. Here I am. We're talking Michigan hoops, and Michigan's playing well. And let's see. It's always great to see Michigan go blue 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a generic handle, but he's anything but generic when he comes in and talks some hoops. Some of those passes into the post were outstanding, whether it was a bounce pass or a chest pass. Yeah, I'll credit Gale there, finding him. Credit the bigs, credit Golden for making himself available, and they getting it in there. And Dusty, I've noticed Dusty out of timeouts, and Dusty making sure these guys in the late. It's nice to see. The last year was bad all over the place. The Michigan didn't look like they were giving effort on D. It was horrible. That wasn't my point. My point was the year before is that Michigan played a dozen games where late in games, they dropped them all. All of them. I didn't win a close game, and it came down to you got to make a play here. You got it into the post. They couldn't do it. I think, they did. They did win one. I think Dickinson against Indiana threw some 25-foot 3, but they almost lost them all. And then in this game, a 1-possession game, you're sitting over there with 2 minutes to go. It was Wisconsin up by 1, and then Michigan's coming in. They get a golden layup. Wisconsin throws some wild shot up. Wisconsin looked like the team that was on the road playing. Golden got a rebound. Now he threw the ball up into the front court, and Gale traveled, but they called him actually on the line. It was a turnover there, but Wisconsin comes down, shoots a quick 3, misses it. But then there was the golden hook with the left hand with 22.9 seconds to go, which was the biggest play to me in the game. BK says it's nice finally to have great bigs on the team. Well, these two playing off of one another, and it's been mentioned now. Robbie Hummel was on this from the early going. He's saying Wisconsin can't handle. They don't have the size or the combination of athleticism to be able to handle Wolf and Golden. Golden, he's not a typical 7-1. He is a front court, no doubt center 7-1, but he is good in the pick and roll in that he can have he's good, athletic enough when he's rolling. He can throw the ball down, but he can also stand there with his back to the basket and you can get him the ball. That's good versatility to have. And obviously he can finish with the right and left. We saw that. And then Wolf, he's one of these 7-footers that you say, okay, he can stand out of the 3-point line and he can drop them in, which he can do, but he's got a decent handle. The turnovers have been something, but the game, you could tell the speed of the game, he's getting more comfortable, and he just might be a star. And I didn't know if he was going to be a star. The way he was turning over, it was like, it looked maybe like he was it just wasn't going to be there for him. Good player, some good nights, but he could really be a star for Michigan, a star in the Big Ten, a star in the country. In the early going, he is a nice story. You don't want to get too ahead of yourself. Myself, I don't want to get too ahead, but you see it, and it's the tandem and the problems that they can cause for opponents. And nobody else really had a good game, and it was those two that led the way. That's what you like to see. The punters, I think, putting it the best. They put the Big Ten on notice. And people, you take notice when you look through tomorrow and you're a college basketball fan, you say, oh, Michigan on the road, winning, Dusty May. How about that? X-Slop talking about the Wolf of State Street, saying he's the real deal, especially when you pair him with the Vladinator. BK talking about the point guards need to do better at bringing the ball down and cutting too many turnovers. No doubt. There was one point on the Maize and Blue review. I follow the game. There's a game thread. People are having fun talking about the game, just, chilling out. And everybody was like, are they going to get better guard play or what? And you knew that they were going to have to get some better guard play if they were going to win that game. So, BK, I feel you on that one. The Muffin Man talking about Dusty so far being worth every penny. Don't let Indiana steal him. Oh, yeah, okay. Vlad is also finding his footing. I'm with you. Yeah, you gotta minimize those turnovers and make your free throws. A man is saying they need to rank us ASAP. Well, Michigan's got a game coming up, against Iowa at home, and what did Iowa win by 1 over Northwestern? Hey, Michigan wins that game. Maybe, I don't know, you start talking about them dropping it, they'll get in there. That's going to take care of itself, but I would like to see them get into the top 25 and stay there myself. And the nice part is they're a good defensive team. Ken Palm has them as a top 10. You could see them playing defense against Whiskey tonight, and that's only going to get better. Jeremy with some coaching, saying guards, especially Gale, need to box out. Outside that, a great win. Yeah, I'm sure when they go over the film that they are going to – there was a stretch where it was 25. John Blackwell. Now Blackwell, he's 6'4", but he plays like he's about 6'10". He's underneath, and he's got a great nose for the ball, and he's down there snatching it and getting the rebound, putting it back up, score. Going up, snatching it, getting another one, and then he hit a jumper. He scored 6 straight, and you're like, all right, this is a pivotal part here. But, yeah, Gale was on him, and, yeah, got to do better there. Bench has got to do better too. We're with you on that, but overall, it was actually it was the combination, the Wolf and Golden, Golf. Put those two together. They're the ones that ended up getting it done, and people recognize. I mean, winning on the road in the Big Ten, difficult. Who knows if Wisconsin really is a top 15 team, ranked 11, but it's good to see you coming in from Honolulu. How about that? Aloha. Say hi to Ellison out there. Doesn't he? He doesn't own Hawaii, but he owns like right next door the island. And he's like giving Bryce Underwood an island. Maybe he's going to give who did he give? Maybe did he flip Nate Marshall? What's going on? I don't know if people understand what I'm saying. I was going to try to explain it. There's no reason to do that. People know what I'm talking about. Michael likes the coaching hire. Look forward to watching a non-Peacock game. Yep. Don't get me started on that, Michael. I could sit here for 25 minutes, criticizing Peacock. Next 3 games will be brutal. Oh, the next 3 games. Why don't we? That reminds me, we could take a look at the upcoming schedule as Michigan moves to 7-1 on the year with the 3-point victory. A reminder, tomorrow is signing day, and right now we got a special on the Maize and Blue Review, $25 for your first year. Use the promo code QBU25. That's QBU25. Offer is available for a limited time. And that upcoming schedule is brought to you by the Good Afternoon Michigan Football and Basketball Show. 2:00, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, but it's going to be at an earlier special time tomorrow because of signing day. Note that. I think we'll be tipping things off at around 1:00. Michigan will be playing the upcoming schedule. Muffin Man saying they're going to be rough. You got Iowa, who got the victory tonight, and their Big Ten opener against Northwestern. That is a Saturday. Why do they got to play it? I mean, I'd rather have that game on Friday, but, they don't consult me. You got football games going on the weekend, but okay. 2:00, Iowa and Michigan. I'll be on after that game. And then Tuesday, another late one in the Jimmy V Classic. They'll be taking on John Calipari in the Jimmy V Classic, Michigan and Arkansas, the Wolverines and Hogs, and then the Jumpman Invitational. Like you get a little break there, get some studying in, get an 8-day break, 7 days off, and then it'll be Oklahoma and Michigan, the 2 teams that will also hook up next year in the non-conference in football. How about that? I'm going to read all of the feedback. People staying up. Donaldson needs to play better all around. I'm with you on that. The Burnett 3 late was huge. I agree. X-Slop. We've got 2 more. He says one of the biggest issues he saw while watching this game was boxing out. Many times we let Wisconsin get an offensive board. Can't have it when we play a Purdue or some of these better teams. Yeah, I'm with you. The issue in the first 6, 7 games, I think we all thought turnovers. They did better with the turnovers against Xavier and 12. You're going to be able to live with that, especially when you win. But you'd like to get it down to single digits, 10, 10, 11, 12. All right. Okay. But the other part is rebounding and rebounding. A lot of rebounding is effort, but it's not just saying, well, I'm going to go up and rebound. It's finding your man, and, putting a body on him. And then, the effort part comes in. And you would think with Michigan, with the size that they have, that shouldn't be a problem. Defensive rebounding. But I'm with you on that. The punters are asking me, what are my thoughts on Wisconsin? Are they really a top 15 team? I haven't watched. I've watched Arizona. I've watched Kansas, North Carolina, Duke. I've watched those teams. I mean, they're not with those teams right there, but Tanji, the transfer from Missouri, he looks like he's a pretty good player. Michigan did a good job on him in the second half. That I didn't see much from him. And then Blackwell, it seems, I don't want to say that. It just looks like a typical Wisconsin team. Bunch of, 3 or 4 big, tall white dudes, and then a couple of dudes that can score and get after it. Blackwell and Tanjay, and they didn't get much from their bench. So I would say no, but I mean, that's the kind of Wisconsin team that you always see, Muffin Man still don't understand college and pros missing free throws. Yeah, well, I don't either. They don't work on it as much. They do other things. And how about this one? This is where we'll end it. The most unpredictable Michigan sports weekend of all time. Yeah, I kind of feel like uh, I'm glad I don't sit around betting, especially betting against Michigan. I would have, if somebody would have offered just, hey, you could bet Michigan or Ohio State, no point spread, go ahead. I'd say, okay, I'll bet Ohio State. I figured, okay, at least I'll make some money. And then tonight, I didn't even see what the line was. I'm sure Wisconsin was favored to win this one. This was not one that I would have looked at and said, oh, yeah, I see Michigan, going into the Kohl Center and winning this one. That was, not Michigan getting down by 9 and at 6 and then rallying back with their two bigs. That was not on my bingo card. Michigan winning on the road at Wisconsin and then winning on the road in Columbus. You're right about that. Yeah, who knows about the eye test? It was Peacock. I don't know if anybody else this happened to him, but so I had my remote and it was kind of over there and I thought I had the volume up and then the volume kind of went away. It was dicey audio from Madison. And then when the official went over to the sideline, I don't know if I was just looking over somewhere, and it kind of threw me off, scared me. I don't want to be scared when I'm watching a basketball game. They had problems with their audio, and then all of a sudden it went to like if it was if the audio max was 100, it was down at like 20, and I couldn't really hear it, and then it went up to 100 with that ref on his mic, and it scared me. So that wasn't good. I didn't like that. Whiskey was a 3.5-point favorite. Yeah, see, good thing. Muffin Man just discovered the channel. Yeah, we'll be here. Look, we were here for every game last year. So, yeah, we hope to be here after every game this year. Golden could average 30 if he could make a layup. Yeah, I'm encouraged by Golden. I hear what you're saying, but he's not just a take it and send it in, jam it. I could see him. I would like to see him. There was one where he just inbounded it right outside the key and he didn't even wait. He just threw it up. And I'm like, that's nice. That's skill. But I've seen him. I know Hummel said he looked like Jordan the one time, the way he was holding the ball out there. I mean, these are things you don't see from skilled big men. He's got a lot of skill going on there. Look, it's Vlad and Golden, these two together. I mean, that was the story of the game. And watching these guys play, this is a lot of fun. And they are going to be a problem. And it's a good problem when you're talking about Michigan, because these guys they look legit tonight. This looked like a top 25 team. Obviously, this looked like a team that's going to be playing in the NCAA tournament. Now, they got to make their free throws. They got to box out. They got to value the ball more. And, you can't have Trey Donaldson throwing up goose eggs. Now, you can say, hey, that's Trey Donaldson could go out there and throw up a goose egg, and Gale pretty much, I don't know, did he score all of his points in the second half? That stuff's going to catch up with you, but they went on the road and they had two guys that look like stars in the Big Ten. Not only the Big Ten, the country. Again, very encouraging. Underline it and say, yeah, got some things to work on, but a win on the road in Madison, huge for this Michigan team. Great job. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to get up real early tomorrow, but it's signing day. I'm going to just jump right out of bed and get ready to go for the big day. And then it'll it'll fly by. I'm looking for 5 stars. I'm looking for flips. I'm looking. Dusty cooked tonight. It's time to hand over the apron and the hat to Sharon and let him cook. See what he's got in store tomorrow. And join us all day long over on the Maize and Blue Review right here on this channel. I know Muffin Man or whoever, sorry, his name. Make sure you subscribe because there'll be some, we'll just be popping on tomorrow, popping off with recruits and talking about signing day and everything there. We'll be bringing a lot of audio, a lot of video to you tomorrow. And of course, the written word as well over on the Maize and Blue Review. That'll do it. 67-64. Michigan gets the victory on the road. And you can say, how about that? They are 7-1 on the year. And that sounds pretty good. And 1-0 in the Big Ten. And 1-0 on the road in the Big Ten, which is nice. That'll do it. We'll talk with you tomorrow. Or if you're who's just a basketball fan, I don't know, you're a football fan and basketball fan, but we'll see you Saturday after the game if we don't see you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Have yourself a great night.